Hello students, welcome to my class. In today's class, we are going to study RFLP, restriction fragment length polymorphism. So what is this technique about? What are the fundamentals, what are the basics of this technique, what are the steps involved, and what are the applications of this technique. So all of these we are going to study quickly in this video. So let's start. So RFLP is a technique, it is a molecular biology technique. This technique exploits variations in the homologous DNA sequences. And these differences, these variations are called as polymorphism. Polymorphism. Okay, so why this technique exploits this variation? What is the objective of it? So this technique is used to distinguish individuals, populations, populations and species. Or it is also used to pinpoint the locations of the genes within the sequence. Okay, so basically in RFLP what happens, the DNA is taken. Okay, so whatever organism we are going to study, we take that organism, we take the DNA of that organism and we isolate the DNA. And then what we do, we digest the DNA with restriction enzymes. So as you know, the restriction enzyme cleave at specific sites. So there are restriction enzyme recognition sites present within the DNA of any organism. Okay, so these sites, there are multiple sites present for these restriction enzymes. So we may take one enzyme or two enzymes. So depending upon our requirement, we take restriction enzyme, we digest the DNA. What will happen afterwards? After the digestion, we will get fragments of DNA. So different fragments are obtained based on the position of that particular site, the cleavage site of that restriction enzyme. So at the end we are getting different fragments. Okay, so these fragments, they are actually separated on the gel through gel electrophoresis. Okay, so after gel electrophoresis we will get a particular pattern of DNA fragments. This pattern is actually specific for a particular organism, maybe specific for a particular species. Okay, and the more the related organisms are, the more the patterns will resemble. Okay, so I am going to tell you about the steps which are usually done in RFLP analysis. Okay, so let's start the different steps involved in RFLP. First step is isolation of DNA. First we will isolate the DNA from an organism or maybe organisms which we want to compare. Then we will digest with the restriction enzymes. So what are restriction enzymes? They are endonucleases. They cleave at a particular site. The restriction site, the cleavage site of a particular restriction enzyme is specific. Okay, so we will get different fragments at the end. So fragments are obtained. Then we will do the gel electrophoresis. So after gel electrophoresis we will get a different pattern. Okay, so in the gel electrophoresis, which type of gel electrophoresis we do for DNA? We will do agarose gel electrophoresis, right? In the agarose gel electrophoresis, the fragments are separated based on their size, different kilo bases, different kilo base pairs, right? So these different fragments are obtained. Then after gel electrophoresis, what we will do? We will do the southern blotting. So we will actually transfer this separated pattern of DNA onto a nitrocellulose membrane, and on that nitrocellulose membrane we will hybridize with a particular probe. So that probe could be of a particular disease, specific for a particular disease, for the gene responsible for a disease, or maybe any other particular gene which we are looking for. For example, here if you see diagnosis of a genetic disease by RFLP, here this is normal globin. Okay, the globin is the protein. Okay, hemoglobin, right? In case of sickle cell, the hemoglobin, the globin, that protein part of the hemoglobin, that protein which the gene we are analyzing over here. So here there is normal globin gene, here there is sickle cell gene. Okay. So in case of normal, there are 3 sites for a particular restriction enzyme, which is MST1. Okay, so after digestion with MST1, we are going to get 2 fragments. These 2 fragments are A and B. Here if you see, A and B fragments are obtained, while in case of sickle cell there is a mutation. Because of that, the digestion site, the cleavage site for MST1 has been removed or maybe modified, so that the enzyme is not able to cleave at this particular site. So what will happen? Only one fragment is obtained in case of disease condition. So here you will get one fragment, and this is nothing but the autoradiograph. So actually from the gel we are going to transfer this pattern of DNA onto a nitrocellulose membrane, and on the nitrocellulose membrane we are hybridizing with the probe. Okay, and that probe is actually recognizing the globin gene. Okay, so here we are going to get 2 fragments, 2 bands, because it is fragmented into 2 different fragments. Here we are going to get only one fragment, which is even higher molecular weight, because both the fragments are together over here. So in this way we are going to understand a particular disease condition within an organism, within a person. Okay, so this is the same thing, but here any other disease we can analyze in the similar way, right? So in case of inheritance of a particular gene, maybe heterozygous condition, homozygous condition, whether a particular person is homozygous for a particular gene or allele, or heterozygous for a particular gene or allele, that also we can determine. How can we determine? See, over here there are parents and we are getting the siblings. There are 3 different siblings over here. Okay, so we have a standard kind of pattern of the alleles. Here if we compare it with the standard pattern, we will get in this particular offspring, in this particular organism or the child, only one type of allele is present, and this is coinciding. This is the same as in case of homozygous recessive, right? So homozygous recessive over here, so this must be homozygous recessive, because only one fragment, only one band is obtained, that is corresponding to the small a allele. Similarly over here we are getting 2 different bands in this particular case, so it means it is heterozygous, both the alleles are present. Here only one band is obtained, which shows that only one type of allele is present, which is corresponding to capital A. So in this way we can also examine the inheritance of a particular gene. We need not to do a specific sequencing, DNA sequencing thorough, because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money, it is costly, expensive, time consuming, as well as it is not available easily also. So we can quickly do this kind of studies to identify whether a particular gene is present or not, whether a particular allele also is present or not. So in this way we can utilize this technique to understand inheritance. Also we can understand the similarities among different individuals, and we can also predict the relatedness of 2 individuals. If 2 individuals are related, relatedness if two individuals are related, then we will get the similar pattern of DNA fragments in these two individuals. If they are distantly related, there is some differences, but if they are closely related, they are very much similar. Okay, and we can also study the parental analysis, whether this particular person is a parent of a particular child or particular person or not. That also we can identify. So it can also be used in DNA fingerprinting, where we can if we have the sample of DNA from the crime scene, we can identify among all these suspects which is the actual criminal. So these are some applications of RFLP. I hope you guys understood this technique. If you have any questions, you can write down in the comment section. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe and